After months of saving, we installed a new in-ground pool for our kids. 1 week later, I looked outside and saw our neighbors' children splashing in it without permission. When I told them they had to leave, their father marched over, red-faced, screaming, "You owe it to the neighborhood kids! They deserve this more than your spoiled brats!" I stood my ground, only to wake up the next morning to find bags of rotten trash dumped into the pool, along with a note. Consider this a community contribution. I'm not the type who causes trouble. Most of my life, I've been the guy who lets things slide. Parking in my spot? I'd sigh and move on. Loud neighbors? I'd shut the windows and turn up the TV. But what happened last summer? That changed everything. For almost 2 years, my wife Jenna and I saved every penny we could. We cut back on eating out. No vacations. I even sold my old motorcycle. The goal was simple: give our 2 kids, Connor, 9, and Maddie, 7, a summer to remember. Neither Jenna nor I grew up with much. Our kids didn't expect fancy things either, but they'd always beg for a pool. By April of last year, we finally broke ground in our backyard in Summerville, South Carolina. Not huge, but deep enough for fun. We added a small waterfall and a built-in bench. The workers finished the job in late spring. The kids' reaction? I'll never forget it. They jumped up and down, screaming with joy. It made every sacrifice worth it. Our neighborhood isn't bad. Not rich, not poor. But there's Rick. Lives 2 houses down with his wife Dawn and 3 sons. Rick's the kind of guy who always watches what everyone else is doing. You paint your house? He comments on the color. You get a new car? He mutters, "Must be nice." He never smiles. Never waves. The day the pool filled, we threw a little family-only gathering. My folks, Jenna's sister, and her kids, a grill going in the corner. I caught Rick watching from his backyard. Arms crossed. Sunglasses on. Just standing there. Didn't say a word. I should have trusted the uneasy feeling I got. 1 week later. It was a hot Wednesday. Jenna was running errands. The kids were at a friend's house. I got off work early. I grabbed a drink, sat in our sunroom, and looked out to admire the pool. That's when I saw them. Rick's 3 boys were in my pool. Splashing, laughing, tossing each other around like they owned the place. I flew outside. "Hey! What are you doing? You can't be in here." The oldest boy looked a little guilty. The younger 2 just stared at me. "Your dad say you could swim here?" No answer. Out. Now. They climbed out. Wet footprints stained the deck. They'd even grabbed our towels from the patio chairs. I took a deep breath and decided to handle it calmly. Kids make mistakes. Maybe they didn't know better. 10 minutes later, I heard shouting. Rick was stomping toward me. "You got some nerve yelling at my kids," he barked. His face was already bright red. "They were in my pool without permission," Rick sneered. "You owe it to the neighborhood kids. You think just 'cause you spent some cash, you can hoard it like it's gold? Your spoiled brats don't deserve special treatment when it's 100 degrees out." I stared at him. "Rick, your kids are not allowed in my yard. Period." His fists clenched at his sides. "Selfish pricks like you ruin neighborhoods. You'll regret this." I watched him storm off. My gut told me this wasn't over. The next morning, Jenna's scream woke me up. I ran downstairs. She was standing at the back door, hands over her mouth. The pool was filled with garbage. Bags of trash dumped into the water. Food scraps, beer cans, old diapers, and something that looked like a dead animal floating near the filter. The smell was unbearable. A soggy piece of cardboard bobbed near the middle. Consider this a community contribution. I felt my stomach turn. We called the police. They came out, took photos, asked questions. I told them about Rick and the fight. They nodded, took notes. But when it came time to take action, unless you have direct evidence or witnesses, there's not much we can do. They logged it as vandalism. Told us to clean it up and keep an eye out. That was it. Jenna looked at me, tears in her eyes. What now? I clenched my fists. Now? We fight back. Step 1 was security. I dropped $1,200 on a professional-grade camera system. Full coverage of the yard. Night vision. Motion sensors. Cloud storage. Step 2 was a call to my cousin Eric. He works in pest control and wildlife removal. You want skunks? He joked. No, I said. I want something worse but legal. He paused. How do you feel about fox urine? That night at 3 a.m., wearing gloves and a mask, I poured fox urine concentrate along the fence that separated my yard from Rick's. A little under his deck, too. That's where he liked to sit and drink beer while watching the neighborhood. By sunrise, the smell was unbearable. Jenna gagged when she stepped outside. But in Rick's yard? It was 10 times worse. By noon, I heard him yelling. What the hell is that smell? Dawn screamed back at him. I can't live like this, Rick. I watched from inside as Rick tore apart his deck looking for dead animals. Found nothing. Next, I reported every HOA violation Rick had been getting away with for years. The rusted-out boat on cinder blocks in his driveway. His patchy, weed-infested lawn. The homemade shed he slapped together without a permit. The HOA started hitting him with fines. Every week, a new citation. Rick, after 2 weeks, the cameras paid off. One night, Rick's kids snuck into the pool again. This time, I had clear footage of Rick himself unlocking the gate to let them in. I didn't confront him. I saved the clip. 2 nights later, more garbage appeared in the pool. Caught again. Rick. 3 a.m. Dragging 3 bags of trash and heaving them over the fence. His face lit perfectly by the infrared cameras. With video evidence, I went straight to the police. Now they had no choice. Rick was charged with criminal trespassing, property damage, and illegal dumping. I handed the same footage to the HOA. They slapped him with the maximum fines allowed and started the process to put a lien on his house. But I wasn't finished. Remember that shed Rick built without permission? Turns out, he built it partially over the county easement. Big mistake. When I reported it, county inspectors came out. Not only was the shed illegal, but they also found an unlicensed electrical hookup running from the shed into Rick's house. Total fire hazard. The county ordered him to demolish the shed. Slapped him with fines. Forced him to pay for inspections. His homeowner's insurance doubled. At first, I thought it was over. Rick's family was gone. The house sat empty for a few weeks. Leaves gathered in their driveway. I felt a weight lift off my chest every time I looked out the window. Jenna smiled again. The kids invited friends over without us worrying about more trash bags or strangers in the pool. But peace didn't last. In late January, a moving truck rolled up to Rick's old house. A couple stepped out, Kyle and Melissa. Early 30s. Friendly enough at first. They introduced themselves while the movers unloaded boxes. We're excited to be here, Kyle said. Heard this is a quiet neighborhood. I nodded. Didn't tell them the full story. Why scare them off? For a while, things were fine. They were quiet. Fixed up the yard. Repainted the shutters. Even put up a swing set for their toddler. But about 2 months later, I noticed something strange. Kyle started talking with Rick's old friends, the ones who used to hang out drinking beer in Rick's driveway. At first, I thought nothing of it. Then I heard Kyle mention Rick's name while chatting with one of them. I kept my distance. But I couldn't ignore the feeling in my gut. It began small. One morning, I found dog poop tossed into my pool area. No neighborhood dogs were loose, so it had to be someone doing it deliberately. A week later, our mailbox was knocked off its post. Looked like someone took a bat to it. Jenna was on edge. You don't think, I don't know yet, I told her. But I had a sinking feeling. I checked the security cameras. Nothing clear. Whoever it was stayed just out of view. Then came the note. Slipped under our front door. Some people don't forget. You got Rick's family kicked out. Now it's your turn. The handwriting was shaky but eerily familiar. The G's curled the same way they did in Rick's old trash note. But Rick had moved states away. I checked. Jenna even found his wife's Facebook. New job, new town, starting over. So who was this? I decided to do some digging. Talked to an old neighbor from across the street, Mr. Patel, who had always kept to himself but saw everything. He told me Kyle wasn't just some random buyer. He was Rick's cousin. Rick got him a good deal on the house, Mr. Patel said. Told him to keep an eye on the neighborhood. It all clicked. Cal hadn't just bought a home. He'd inherited a grudge. I knew I couldn't let things spiral again. This time, I got serious. Upgraded the security system. Higher resolution, more motion sensors, hidden cameras. Called the police about the threats and vandalism. Filed official reports every time. Created a paper trail. Hired a lawyer. Just in case things escalated. I wasn't going to let history repeat itself. But Kyle? He was smarter than Rick. He knew how to stay just inside the law. I wasn't just fighting Kyle now. I was fighting Rick's grudge carried forward like a family curse. And I knew it would only stop if I ended it for good. I decided to stop reacting and start planning. Kyle wanted me gone. He thought he could bleed me dry with petty damage and fear. What he didn't know was that every police report I'd filed. They were building a case. My lawyer, Ms. Leland, gave me the advice that changed everything. Stop fixing things quietly. Let it pile up. Document every cent. Every repair. Every hour lost. So I did. Every vandalism act. Every scratch on the car. Every bag of mulch I had to replace. Receipts. Photos. Video clips. Police reports. 6 weeks later, I had a stack of documented harassment nearly 3 inches thick. Late July. Around 2:45 a.m., the hidden driveway camera finally caught Kyle, full face in view, tossing nails across our driveway from a plastic bag. And behind him? Another figure. Rick. I couldn't believe my eyes. He was back. Standing in the shadows while Kyle did his dirty work. That's when everything snapped into focus. Rick hadn't just sold the house to Kyle. He still had keys. He was coming back at night. Kyle was the puppet, Rick the puppeteer. The next morning, I didn't call the police. I called Ms. Leland. We took everything to court. Not criminal court, civil harassment, and property damage lawsuit. My file was so thorough, so airtight, that the judge approved an immediate temporary restraining order. Both Rick and Kyle were barred from coming near my family, my home, or even driving down our street. But it got better. With the evidence of ongoing coordinated harassment, the judge froze Kyle's property. His house was now part of the lawsuit. Any damages awarded would be attached to his mortgage. The police also reopened Rick's previous charges, now adding violations of court orders, conspiracy, and harassment. Rick was arrested the following week. His smug grin disappeared when the cops slapped the cuffs on him in broad daylight. Kyle? He fought the lawsuit for months but couldn't keep up. His mortgage company found out about the pending lien. They weren't thrilled. By October, a settlement was reached. Kyle lost his house. Rick received jail time and heavy fines. I received $38,000 in damages and legal fees paid. It didn't cover everything I'd spent or the sleepless nights we'd endured, but it was enough. I'll admit, I made mistakes too. When Rick first started, I should have acted faster. Put up cameras sooner. Gone to the HOA before things spiraled. I let my instinct to handle it quietly, give them room to escalate. I also let anger get the best of me with the fox urine trick. It was harmless but could have backfired legally. But Rick and Kyle? They underestimated how far I'd go to protect my family. And they bet everything on the idea that I'd just give up. Kyle's house was sold at auction. New owners moved in by December. A young military family. Good people. Rick's family? Word spread he divorced Dawn and moved in with a brother out of state after serving time. His sons, sadly, carried the weight of their father's actions. As for us? We still have the pool. The kids still swim in it every summer. And every time I sit out back, beer in hand, watching the waterfall trickle down into the deep blue water, I remind myself, protecting your peace sometimes means making sure troublemakers pay the price. Because if you don't defend what's yours, no one else will.